right on tune. Here we are with another Biddle on a Saturday night. What's going on?
Sup?
Good evening, everybody. What's going on?
Hello.
All right,
Carl's in the house.
Can somebody let us know in the chat if everything sounds okay, if we can hear everybody? And then we'll get moving. So, this week's challenge was a non-challenge, I guess. I guess you could say. It was a challenge of pick any distro you want, install it, and then talk about it. So who wants to go first?
Well, mine would be easy to get out of the way because I'm still on my 30-day sabbatical. So even though I installed Peppermint 7 and Peppermint 8 just to go back and try them out, I don't think that's really cheating on Peppermint, so I'm still on 30 days.
So in other words, he's still distro hopped without trying to even have
Yes.
mechanical.
I think you had the itch, didn't you, Zeb?
That's me done. So on to the next one.
Mine's really easy. I reinstalled my laptop, wiped it, I backed it all up, and then wiped it, and just reinstalled Ubuntu 18.04.
Imagine that.
Yeah, who would have thought? That I would but I wanted to just do a clean install because I just wanted to get. I've got such a cluttered home directory; it's just full of rubbish. That I thought, I know, I'll just move it all off to a USB drive, do a clean install, and then I'll really think carefully about everything I install. And every time I put a file in my home directory, I'll think carefully about where I put it. And that's lasted for a week so far. I'm not sure how long it will last before I start just unzipping files in my home directory and like randomly installing rubbish. But yeah, it's going all right so far.
I don't usually do that with the home directory, but I do that with the downloads directory. The downloads directory is like a zoo. It's like just grows and grows.
Mine is too, and I even have date stamped subdirectories that are like, here's stuff that I just moved out of downloads, but I think I might need it at some point. Maybe it's like a VirtualBox installer Deb from a year ago. I definitely don't need, and I'm pretty sure it's archived online somewhere. I don't have to keep that myself.
It's pretty bad when you have multiple versions of the program. Just in case.
Bracket 1, bracket 2, bracket 3. In my downloads folder. Yeah.
You just never know when that deb file you need to go back to an older version, you know?
What if the internet goes down and I need to get
I know.
What am I going to do?
We'll do the Internet Archive on your machine.
It pretty much is. That is, yeah.
All right, Michael, did you try anything this week?
Yeah, I know I said last week that I'm gonna keep going with Ubuntu, but yeah, that didn't work out so well. I tried KD Neon for the first time.
Nice.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Yeah, KD for me has been kind of a love-hate relationship going on for a couple of years. I ran it back when it was 3.5. Ubuntu, Kubuntu something, I don't know, don't remember which number it was. And then when they changed through 4 and up to 5, it was a mess. I couldn't use it. And I always kept coming back and trying it in different versions and so on. So I thought that, okay, I'm going to give it another go and see. And I see all of you are running, or some of you are running KD Neon and being very happy with it. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna give it a go and see what it's like. And yeah, I'm still on it. And man, that it's stable. It's very light, sleek. It's streamlined. There's not much in it when you install it. So, and that's the way I want it. I don't like when almost always I uninstall the default apps and install other ones. And with Neon, you don't have to do that.
Right.
However, I said last time that I have never had any issues with NVIDIA cards and drivers in any distro. I had my first one with KDN, but I tried, to be fair, I tried the one, they got 3 versions. So I tried the one from GitHub right after testing. So I figured I'd give it a shot. It was Plasma 5.4 14, I think.
Mhm.
And that wouldn't install my drivers. It just couldn't install it. They wouldn't. They install fine, but when I boot into the system, into the GUI, they were not active. I couldn't. So I got the resolution was like 1024 by 768 or something like that. So then I installed the user edition, and it works perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Nice.
I have nothing to complain. Everything just, yeah. And it's very lightweight too. It doesn't use much resources. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. So I have moved over. I'm running Ubuntu on my laptop and my media center HTPC. So I'm still on Ubuntu, but not on my main rig.
Right.
So yeah, I'm very happy with it, and I'm as long as it works, I'm gonna keep it this way because it's very nice. And KD for me, I mean, everyone said it's bloated, it's too much settings, too much choices, and so on. And I mean, yeah, if you dig into the settings, there are a lot to tinker with and try. But if you're not into it and don't like it, then just don't mind the settings and just use it, and it's fine. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. Absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the draws of KDE Neon is the fact that it's just blank KDE.
Yeah,
And
bare metal
you don't have to-
almost.
Yeah, it's almost like an Arch install.
Yeah.
Almost.
So yeah,
All right.
I'm loving it. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thomas?
All right. So, as many people know, I am a longtime Debian-based OS user, and I decided to jump off the deep end this week and try Arch Labs.
Wow. Okay.
I've never tried Arch Labs before. I have tried Vanilla Arch, and I hated Vanilla Arch, and I knew if I tried it again, I would hate it. So trying Arch Labs, I have very mixed feelings. The default desktop, I think it said it was XFCE, but it looked like i3, and I was having a pain in the butt using it. So I installed GNOME. But it was lightning fast, even though I was running it in a VM. And Pac-Man compared to apt is extremely fast. I love the AUR. As some of the people in my Linux user group will know, Gideon, I am starting development on something like an AUR, but for Debian. We'll see how that goes. It may crash and burn. It may take off and flourish. I would attempt dual booting it with Ubuntu, but because my BIOS is screwed up, I can't without risking bricking my system.
You need an icy duck.
I need to fix my BIOS. Let's just start there, just in general. But overall, Arch Labs, very nice under the hood. On top, I hate it with the burning passion because I hate i3 and that whole setup. But it seemed very stable. It was extremely fast, even in a VM. So if you like the i3 desktop and you like Arch-based distros, definitely go for Arch Labs. If you don't like Arch-based distros, I would not suggest it, but the AUR is still pretty cool.
Someone was saying in chat it's actually OpenBox, not XFCE.
It might be. It was definitely...
It is.
It definitely had OpenBox installed. So...
Yeah, it should have OpenBox, XFCE, i3, BSPWM, and Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. All of those I know I would hate, except for XFCE, but I'm not going to screw around with it too much. I'm just going to install what I'm used to and go. The only thing that really got on my nerves other than the desktop is, of course, when you go from a Debian-based system to an Arch-based system, the package names are different. So I had to dig around a little bit to try to find some of the packages I like installing. So
But that was nothing to do with the OS.
yeah, that wasn't Arch Labs. That was not something that is their fault. That's just repository stuff. So
Dig it. Matt?
I actually jumped distros twice this week. I started out trying Manjaro WebDAD again. That was an interesting experience on the Surface Pro. Then I switched over to Ubuntu Chillin Kylan. However, Popey, you probably know how the heck that's pronounced.
It is chilling. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That has been an interesting experience using the Chinese-based distro version of Ubuntu. Wendy's actually seen this, but they probably have the best boot animation I have seen. Bar none. I am not kidding. That thing is beautiful.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah, it's great. Like the boot up and close down animation is awesome. Then you get into the desktop, and some things could use some improvement. Some of that could be because it's obviously I'm using it in English and not, Mandarin or simplified Chinese. But overall, I've been enjoying it. It's on my Surface Pro 2 right now, and it's been running fine. So,
how's it working out for the the small screen area and stuff?
the high DPI stuff, you have to change some of the settings. They don't have the granular control, which is the one thing I miss from Unity, which is the fractional scaling, which is actually good. This is basically jumps from 1 to 125 and 150 or 150 200. So the scaling's a little what you see is what you get, and the customization is kind of lacking, but it's meant for what you see is what you get kind of thing. So
well, no worries, Matt. I talked to Popey earlier, and he said that he's putting out a petition to bring back Unity full time as the main desktop environment for Ubuntu, right?
Did I?
Right?
I'm gonna say, you get volunteered, Popey?
as a person who used to love Unity, GNOME is faster. It really is.
No, it's not.
GNOME is also worse and designed by every.
I don't
way.
think it is. I mean,
so it can be in certain use cases. If you play games, it isn't.
The one thing as a GNOME user that I miss from Unity is being able to search for files in the Unity dock, and you can't do that in GNOME. And even if you could do that in GNOME, it doesn't work right. Because there is an extension to do it, but it sucks.
Gee, what a surprise! Things in GNOME don't work.
Catfish.
Features are bugs.
all right.
But no, overall, because I know Chillin uses a modified version of Mate, I believe, and I'm usually not. I like Mate, but not usually enough to keep it. I think I'm actually going to keep this.
Wow. Well, for at least for a little while, anyway.
Yeah, until I decide to just drop
Until you hop again.
But it's been a great experience so far. So props to the Ubuntu Chillin team. So
Nice.
And I think that Manjaro thing might be fixed when they actually call it Web Grandad.
yeah, well, that distro is interesting just because it uses the J desktop, and it's one of the only distros that I can actually find that uses it in a readily available format.
I wonder why that is, Matt.
Because and I
Because
believe
it's bizarre.
I believe I stated it this way. That is the most stable version of Manjaro I have found. So take what you will from that.
I think Chip would have something to say about that. Just saying.
Yeah, probably. I'm just saying.
All right, Wendy. I know you've been busy, but did you try anything this week?
I actually did. So between Zeb and EB and all their talk about peppermint, I figured I'd give it a go. So it's on the media laptop in the living room right now. So it's not a true test because I'm not using it as my daily stuff, but it's been running everything great. And I have to say my favorite feature is what they've taken from KDE, where it'll detect the screen and ask you what you want to do with it. Because there's times we'll turn on the TV late, and so it'll just pop up and say, oh, what do you want to do with this? And it's so nice not have to dig through the settings, set it back to the TV as the main screen. So
Nice. Well, it doesn't matter if you use it as your daily driver. You're using it in some capacity, so that's good. It's awesome.
It's been working great. I don't have the kids' games back on it yet, so they keep asking me, "Mom, can we play?" I'm like, I haven't got there yet. Let me set back up in a minute.
Hey, Matt, Chip said that's totally not true.
My experience
your statement
would
about
state otherwise. Just hey, Rocco, how did Manjaro work out for you?
All right, moving on. Colin.
Well, I tried Antics this week, 17.2, I think it is. And, well, I'm a disaster, let's put it that way. I've been trying to, I made a video about it. I was told by Serge, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, pretty much in a roundabout way RTFM. But I did read some stuff on the internet, but what happened was Dolphin put up a video this morning, and I was wondering why he had the WICD in his control center, I didn't. And so I put a couple of things out there on his video, and he asked me if I was running the bass instead of the full. And lo and behold, I'm running the bass, which has got a lot of things missing. So I was wondering why I was struggling getting Wi-Fi and all sorts of things happening, and just didn't seem to be the tools installed as what Dolphin had when he had his video up. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to download the base, the full version, and try that again, because it was a bit of a struggle, but I got through it. I got the internet running and stuff, but it just wasn't working the way I wanted it to. So, but on this light laptop here, this low spec laptop, that thing just flies. It is just remarkable how quick that thing goes. Even making a video on that, it didn't falter, it didn't stutter, because normally when you have other distros on there, when you start recording on that low spec laptop, you can see a change in the mouse movement slowing down. The video comes out all right, but with Antics, it just like normal. So it's very impressive. It's probably not something I would run on a regular basis, but definitely on that low spec laptop, it's awesome. So yeah,
nice
experience. Yeah, just my inability to check which one I'm downloading first.
You were just so excited to download something. All right, Dan, what'd you try?
All right, so I actually had a forced distro hop this week.
Uh-oh.
And I hate to burst Chip's bubble, but my Manjaro install kind of went south.
Oh, no.
I did, there was a big update that came out last week, and I did that, and it kind of got hung up there. And then I waited a long time for it to resolve, and nothing happened, and I had to reboot. And then I had kernel panic, so
jeez.
There's not really much coming back from that, probably. So I just I reinstalled. So
what'd you reinstall? I mean, did you reinstall Manjaro?
No.
I gave up. All right.
I did two different distros. I did Ubuntu first because I was kind of interested. Systrom had mentioned that battery life was like super good, and so I just kind of wanted to compare, see how things were going. I didn't get any different results, but some of that could be because of the hardware he's running. I know he's running a newer processor set and stuff. So, but at least it was the same. So I mean, it was a good experience anyway. And then I did Ubuntu Budgie. And that went fine too. So I mean, no problems. I mean, they're Ubuntu based, so pretty comfortable there for me.
That's a fast budgie, isn't it?
Yeah. I like Budgie, the Raven menu. I think that's a really cool feature. I wish more things had that. I guess that's just kind of a nice thing, especially for audio settings on the fly, real quick, right there. I think that's like the best thing for me. But good experiences all around.
Awesome. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Somebody said in chat that they wanted me to raise the volume of your guys' audio. Trying to do that. I don't know if it's any better. Silent, go ahead.
Well, I did try. I started trying to use Ali's build of PC Linux OS, but I've been fighting with screen resolutions. It's not detecting the actual screen resolutions of my card. So I scrapped that. I recently did a Mayo modern install video, and I thought, this Dev1's really nice. So I installed Dev1 ASCII, and I've been playing with that for the last week or so. And it's really, really nice. Really nippy, really light on resources. Obviously Debian based.
Right.
So I've been quite impressed with that. So I've just been spending the last week installing all my regular apps.
Are there any things that didn't work on that as a result of it being like a bit different, you know, system demissing?
No, I haven't had any issues. The only slight downside is I cannot, unless I go to NVIDIA Direct, I cannot find the latest drivers for the card. I'm using a 1080 Ti, so it's a bit awkward on Debian at the minute.
They're probably still on 390, are they?
Less than that. I think it was 384.
Yeah,
wow.
384. Yeah, because I'm on MX right now, and I had to do the test repo, I guess, to get the 390.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to do the same on MX.
Yeah, it looks like they've got 390 in SID and 396 in experimental.
Yeah. But it's working
And yet
fine.
Windows are on 460.
All right. Gideon, did you try anything this week?
I did, because I fixed my BIOS.
Nice.
Yeah. I tried KDE Neon this week, because I always hear everyone talking about it and how great it is. So one of the coolest things I found out is the bootable boots unbelievably quickly. It was like 3 seconds. It was amazing. Other than that, it seems really slow. And I know it has all the menu configurations and settings, animations I can turn off, etc. But I didn't have time to get into that.
But you liked it?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. Climby?
Yeah, so I tried Calculate Linux, their new version 18 KDE, which is Gentoo based. And the last time I had used the Gentoo based distro was Sabian. That was many, many years ago. So, but for the most part, things worked really well. It's using a little bit older version of KDE. They're on 5.12.5 right now. And I noticed the RAM usage I thought it was a little bit high. It was 1.15 gigabytes on boot. And from what I could tell, that was not with a whole lot running, so that was a bit odd. But
how much RAM is in it?
16 gigs in the system.
To be honest with you, that's about what I run with Neon. So
yeah, so it might just be because there's more RAM in it, it's going to use it.
Yeah.
I was able to unmask the latest NVIDIA driver and get that running. There's actually an option in the installer to use the NVIDIA proprietary driver when you're installing it. But when I tried that option, after I installed and reboot for the first boot, it just froze on a black screen. I didn't have graphics at all. So I reinstalled it using the NoView drivers. And then once I got that running, then I was just able to switch to the NVIDIA drivers. And Calculate Linux actually has a command line utility that kind of sets up an Xorg for you and handles the switching between NVIDIA proprietary and NoView, as long as you have emerged that NVIDIA package. I could not find, I found an overlay for Zoom in like an eBuild repository, but it was a little bit outdated, I think, and I couldn't get it to run. So I just got the tar.gz from Zoom's website and just ran the binary, which is what I'm on right now. But I was able to get Telegram was in there, Discord was in there, Steam. I was able to get all that to run. I did have an issue with whenever I installed the NVIDIA graphics, I could not get KDE compositing to work at all. Well, as soon as I installed the NVIDIA graphics and I booted, I got the thing saying KWin, an application has prevented compositing or something like that. I changed all the compositing settings. I even went into the KDE system settings menu into the window rules, and I tried to force disable block compositing, and I did all of that. Nothing worked. So I just disabled compositing completely, but that's not a big deal for me because I just used the forceful composition pipeline in NVIDIA to disable screen tearing. So that was the only thing I really had an issue with. And another bizarre thing too, where I was getting an error on trying to reboot the system. A KSM server logout greeter closed unexpectedly. Sometimes when I would try to reboot, I just could not reboot. So I had to open a terminal, do the sudo reboot, and that worked. But yeah,
that's actually one of the major errors that I get when I'm running KDE. Not on the latest Plasma, but on most of the other versions, I will get that, and there's no way to reboot. Except for doing it through the terminal, and that's if you can get the terminal up, because a lot of times the GUI will be unresponsive then. So, yeah.
And they actually include the nightly builds of Firefox in the stock install that they use. It's called Aurora, I think, but it's the nightly Firefox builds. I just installed Chrome anyway, but I was able to get that. But yeah, everything besides that, I mean, it's been running great.
Awesome. Well, it's good to know that I'm not the only person getting that error. Just saying. All right, Ali, did you try anything?
I did. I actually went for what I've been hearing a lot about, and this peppermint. So I did have to try peppermint, and Zeb's there smiling. Right. I'll be honest with you, it is nice. You know, it's a mixture of XFCE, LDM mint, LXD mint, and it's okay. The only thing, the gripe and the bugbear I got against it is the not setup. I'm just thinking to change the settings, the setting dialog box for it when you maximize it. No, it's just low. It's just wrong. What I would suggest is just remove the maximize and resize button. Just remove it. Just leave the minimize and the close button there. Because when it's in its fixed position, when it first opens, it does look nice. But if you use to maximize it, especially if you've got a 4K screen, it's horrendous, really. So,
you're talking just about the settings, right?
Issue. Sorry?
You're talking about the settings dialog, right?
There's a setting. Yeah, you know, like you have a Alex appearance and all that kind of business.
Right.
It's their control center. Thank you, Zeb. That's the word I was looking for. The control center.
So what size 4K screen have you got?
It's 32. No, sorry, it's a 40.
A 40. So why on earth would you want a control center, a full screen on a 40-inch monitor?
No, that's exactly my point, Zeb. Right, because I've also got a 1080p on this. It looks pretty bad on here as well. But if someone does maximize it, instead of jumping to one corner, it tries to spread out all across the screen. So you got massive amounts of mouse space. So I was thinking if you left it at its default resolution that it comes at windowed and killed the maximize minimum and killed the maximize resize button, that would clear that instantly because it really does not look nice when it's in the middle of the screen.
Yeah, but then what happens when you've got a different laptop monitor that only goes to like 900 and where they would prefer it to be full screen?
This is where scroll bars work.
Yeah, you can't please everybody all of the time. So
but that's the only criticism I got against it. Honestly, it ran fine. I had no issues with it. It didn't crash on me, which is a change for an Ubuntu-based machine. I can't complain over anything else over it, except to be fair, it did look nice, and like it's got a mixture of technologies, and it's quite cool actually. It's quite a good hybrid.
Good.
Awesome. All right, Christopher.
Hello. First time,
how you doing?
Caller. Yeah.
Welcome, Chris.
Welcome.
All right. I haven't tried any distro hopping lately. I'm not really a big one. I'm very cautious in that. I've bought. I'm currently running NixOS, the weird distro.
Yep.
Which it's going well, but they released a new version, and I want to. Right now, I have a dual boot between this Linux and Windows 10, and I feel like I've moved past using Windows 10, so I want to get rid of it and like reclaim half of the disk space. But I've been having I've got this weird error when trying to transfer files from the NTFS drive to the ext4 drive, where photos they got very corrupted, even though it didn't say it was corrupted. Like, you could see parts of images being in other images, and some images wouldn't load. Very bizarre. Like, the bizarre thing is I have an Ubuntu Mate laptop, and I put it there, and it seemed to work fine. And then I put it on a USB stick, and then I was able to transfer that, and it worked. So that sort of delayed my transfer. Maybe in the next week I'll be able to do something there. I also would like to install Void, Void Linux on this old laptop, this real potato of a laptop. Like, it's got one core. The spec says 64-bit, but I've never been able to get a 64-bit operating system there, so I have to go 32-bit, like it's 1999, and I can't find the Walmart, which is, I would have to spend like $50 to get it, and I don't want to spend $50 on that laptop, so still trying to look for that. So hopefully I'll find that.
Well, Colin, you just tried Antics. That might be a good choice for that laptop.
Yeah, it might be.
Is that the Arch? Is that Arch based or?
No, it's Debian based.
Okay. I'd consider it. It's I'm used to it.
It would definitely justify. It would probably run a lot better, I would think, from my experience anyway. But my laptop's reasonably new. It's just low spec. So, but Antics has 32-bit as well, so that would be an advantage for you.
Right. Good point.
I give a little plug here for Ubuntu. That's got a 32-bit as well.
Yep, it does.
Oh yeah, Ubuntu. Yeah. Yes, it does. Yep.
So I'm trying to get away from the Ubuntu-based distros. Feel like I've moved beyond it.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, Tuck, stop. Awesome. Did you try anything this week, brother?
Mike's really low, Tux.
Yeah, you're really low, brother.
I try not to distro hop because once I start,
it's hard to stop. All right. Well, I did, I guess, distro hop. I installed MX Linux, and that's what I'm running the stream on. And I was having issues with, and I don't know how deep I want to go with it, because like there'll probably be a million things to do or try to fix the issues that I'm having. But anyway, long story short, I have multiple operating systems on multiple drives that are unresponsive at times. And they're doing the same thing. So basically, the GUI is not responsive. I can move the mouse, but I can't click on anything. Can't right click on anything. I can't do anything. So I was troubleshooting and thought it might have been hard drives, memory. So I thought I had fixed it or found out the problem multiple times, only to find that it's only part of the problem. One of the problems I know was a wireless headset that for whatever reason, if I plug that wireless headset in, it's a Corsair, the whole system would be unresponsive. If I unplug it, it would immediately come back. I don't know if that had anything. I don't know what it had to do with, to be honest with you. So I thought I had figured that out, and then even after that, KDE Neon is the only one now that still has that same issue where the GUI becomes unresponsive, and I don't know exactly what's going on. I did a mem test from a suggestion from Popey and a couple other guys in the chat. Did 2 passes. I'm going to have to let it run overnight, but I didn't find any errors on the 2 passes. I thought it might have been the 6 terabyte hard drive that I have for all of my backups and games and everything. And unmounted that, left it unmounted, and it worked fine for the first couple hours, and then it did the same exact thing. So I don't know exactly what's going on. So I'm hoping to get through the whole stream on MX without it happening.
So Rocco, when you're saying you get this situation where you get the screen drawn, but it doesn't draw fully, and you can move the mouse, but you can't click, is that on first boot?
It is. I guess it would. Yeah, I guess it would. No, it's not. It's not no? Because I'll be playing around with it. It depends on which operating system it is. Some of them will do it faster. It may take 30 seconds to a minute for that to happen. Some of them it might take 10 minutes for it to happen. But eventually they do it.
It's not just your GPU overheating, surely, because that's like if you're talking about things on the display that are frozen, there's OpenGL calls in there, and it's your GPU that's doing that. And if it's happening on multiple OSs on the same machine, it's hardware. And if it's not memory, then it's almost certainly the GPU.
Or what about power supply?
Loadings, memory, CPU, GPU, temperatures. I will check those stuff.
Yeah, overheating GPU would be a...
I will have to. Well, I'll tell you. Well,
if the fan is broken on the GPU, then that could almost certainly cause it.
There's a way to test this. There's an app called P-Sensor, and you can monitor the thermals of your entire system. That's what I would suggest.
I'm using that one too. It's a good one.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'll definitely have to try it. On Popey, you had mentioned about rechecking the SATA cables and stuff. That's definitely some. I just didn't have time to check it all before the stream, so because I spent the hour and a half before doing the stream doing the mem test. So
because it sounds like there's something holding up the system,
Yeah.
You can move the cursor, but you can't. It won't respond when you're clicking. So something is holding it up, using the resources or something like that.
If you can SSH in from another machine and just run dmessage minus TW, capital T, lowercase w, and you'll just tail the log. And at the point when it freezes, you might see something spat into that log file just before it locks up. But you wouldn't be able to go and look at it if you can't click on the machine. But you might see it from a remote connection that's SSH'd in.
So you can't log into TTY session?
Whoever that was couldn't hear a word.
Yeah, he asked if you could drop into TTY.
Yeah.
I didn't even check that, to be honest with you. So I don't know.
On your first boot, Rocco, when the machine, let's say, doesn't draw the desktop properly and your mouse moves, but you can click, but nothing happens, do a quick. Don't bother waiting for it, but just do a Control-Alt F2 and then go straight back to Control-Alt F7, and it will wake it up again. And I have no idea why it does it. It does it to me on Peppermint. It does it to me on MX. It does it to me on any XFCE distribution, and I haven't worked out which of the half a dozen applications I installed causes it to happen. But maybe every 3 months I'll have to do a reinstall because I get fed up going Control-Alt F2, Control-Alt F7 when it first boots. But I've never had it freeze.
Happens for me that like corruption and you have to switch your TTY and back happens to me on a clean install of some distros.
Oh, okay. So that could be. And are you on NVIDIA as well, Popey?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that might be something to do with the NVIDIA because I'm on a 1070. Rocco's on a 1080.
Yeah.
So,
let's hope the fan's not going on the 1080.
It could be it's not detecting the monitor sync
those things out?
properly.
I believe you can, yeah. What'd you say, Silent?
It could be that it's not detecting the monitor sync correctly on the way up. I've got a 2K monitor and it does it on every Ubuntu distribution I use without fail.
Well, I blew away my Pop OS that I had on there for the longest time on my NVMe drive and split the partition and installed Neon on half and MX on the other half. And I thought I had figured it out, and I got done installing both of them and setting both of them up, and it started again. And I was like so disgusted. I ended up reinstalling them both again just to make sure it wasn't the install. And yeah, so there's been major issues on my computer, notwithstanding the broken headset right before the show. So, hey, what are you gonna do? But that's the way life goes. So we need to pick a distro for this week. Any suggestions?
Now, or can we?
We don't have
sit
to.
on it? It's a little bit early today, isn't it? We've got through a few things.
Well, I didn't say we were ending the show. I just said we have to pick a distro.
So there's two distros coming out this week. On Tuesday, there's the elementary Juno.
Oops.
Sometime around this week.
Yeah, Juno's definitely imminent.
There's a countdown clock somewhere for you.
It's imminent. We'll just say that.
It's imminent.
And Thursday is all the Ubuntu 1810s. So there's a load there. But I guess you've done all the Ubuntus lots of times.
To death.
I've mentioned.
Yeah, we did all those last week. Yeah.
I'm having major issues with Ubuntu Mate with errors with updates, I think it was. Is there meant to be some sort of issue with Ubuntu Mate at the moment?
There's not meant to be any issue. Ever. Nobody now that Colin guy, I think I better fix some issues on his...
You've noted Colin's IP address and right.
That's good stuff.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Well, to find out if there are issues, Colin, did you check the bug reports? And did they match yours?
No, I didn't check any bug reports at the moment.
You're not alone, though, Colin. I know other people that are having that same issue.
I'm sorry.
Oh, is that right?
What was not checking bugs?
No, when you update, when you run the updates first up, it comes up with an error, and then it says run a partial update, and then it just comes up with a complete error doing a partial update. And I can't
what version?
I had the same issue when we were doing that.
18.10, the beta.
Right. That's common. It's common because the release isn't out yet, and there are sometimes new packages that need to be pulled in, and if you just do a normal upgrade, sometimes they don't come down, and it tries to get you to do a more like a dist upgrade to make sure you're up to date.
That's correct. That normally does that. I'm aware of that, but it's also having an error running that as well. So
oh dear.
I can't remember if it was a partial or because sometimes you do a partial, then you go and then it comes up with an update. But it was running an error. I just can't remember what that error was now because I tried fixing. I found somebody. I did a search on the internet. Somebody came up with run something. I can't remember what it was. I did that, and then I lost some of the desktop. What do you call them? The unit, the mutiny, and all that all disappeared. So some of the desktop layouts weren't there. So I've done a reinstall, but I'm at the point where it just won't upgrade. Actually, I could have a look at it and tell you what the error is, but I'll start it up. But I'm not quite sure why. I just can't get past it.
Without knowing the error, it's a bit tricky.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll start it up.
Well, Simon Quigley couldn't be here tonight because he's a little under the weather. But he did want me to pass along Zeb to Dolphin, who's also not here. Remember last week he was talking about the EFI and the 32-bit and the command line that Dolphin gave him. He said that it works perfectly. So,
wow, nice.
Yeah, we've been testing it on that tablet that I have, the Asus one.
Nice.
And the installer, it will. I haven't tested the latest daily yet, but the fix, it does work. So
awesome.
No, he's awesome.
Not to go back to Colin's problem. Colin, did you try DPKG? I think it's TAC config TAC A.
No, I haven't tried that.
Sometimes I know when I get a partial upgrade because I was running on / and that was an issue with the repositories. I had to end up running that, and it fixed my issues with the repositories. So it might be something to try, perhaps.
Okay. All right. I'll just tell Popey what the error is first.
Tell us all. Don't have to just tell me.
No, just tell him personally.
Well, this is a good time as any to let everybody know that we are switching the time of Biddle. So I don't know if it's going to be better or worse for everybody or anybody. So we'll have to wait and see. But we're switching the time to 9 p.m. Eastern. So, like I said, same day.
Okay.
That's 2 p.m. UK. 2 a.m. UK.
AM, yeah.
That's actually better for me.
I was going to say, Zeb, you don't need sleep anyway, right?
Work better for me, may not work better for me. It'll depend on the week.
It's 2 a.m. this week. It'll be 1 a.m. the week after. And then when you guys switch, it'll go back to being 2 a.m.
Yeah, true enough. I forget about that.
I hate daylight savings time.
October 28th for us to go back. Yeah.
Well, I will remind everybody at the end of the show, but just so you know, 9 p.m. Eastern from this point on.
It's still numpty o'clock, whichever it is, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So the error for that is your Python install is corrupted. Please fix the user bin Python symlink.
Wow.
Oh, that one.
That one.
Oh yeah, that one.
Oh, that common problem.
Yeah. Just so you know, I've opened a web browser. I'm not trying to teach you how to suck eggs, right? But I've just opened a web browser and started typing your Python, and Google automatically auto-filled install is corrupted. So this is not uncommon, it would seem.
Yay, the second Ubuntu guy told us to RTFM, yeah.
We'll go over it again. RTFM.
Yeah. It must be a thing between Popey and Martin.
The very first hit does take you to an Ask Ubuntu website, which is a very reputable website for getting support, and does suggest solve this problem.
No, somebody did say that you got to change the Python to the 2.7 or something. I did that. That's when the desktop layouts disappeared because it went through. Right, so I don't. Well, actually, I'll try the other. That
try what it says on Ask Ubuntu and leave an angry comment.
Ask Ubuntu.
If you're doing a daily, you might need a new daily. I mean, that's something that's got a possibility as well.
Yeah.
So that's two people out of RTFM. I think Ryan is not here.
I didn't tell you to RTFM. I very clearly did.
Google.
Say RTFG.
I didn't even tell you. I did it for you.
That's
what's that?
Let me Google that for you.
Yeah, LTTF, whatever is there.
I tell you what, just send me all your search queries, and I'll send them to you. And then I'll send you.
Mycroft improved.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Zeb, Xtix is a 1810 version out if you want to try that.
No, you're okay. Thanks.
I'm just saying.
I used to get excited when Xtix first came out because I thought, oh, wow, this is different. This is unusual. This works. Oh, dear, it doesn't work. And then every version I've tried ever since, you get, I don't know, a third of the way through the install or 2/3, or you get to reboot and then you try and update. And he does something really weird with his repo so that you can't add any other PPAs to his system. And I've got to the point now where I've just learned, no, don't even bother because something will break and then you just get annoyed again. So no, Xtix, he can exit.
Hey, let's try Ultimate Edition.
No, come on, please. Let's say we did and not. Well, I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but I can guarantee you what I'm going to be installing when
it
it's
starts
imminent.
with an E, I think.
I mean, it's imminent, so I'm just saying that I might be installing that.
Okay, so where's the other fanboy? He should be out.
Where is Chicken at? Hey, my cup is on the way, I'll have you know, my mug. Just saying. Throwing it out there. Hey, if anybody's got a better suggestion, let me know.
What was the suggestion? Sorry, I wasn't.
Any other distro?
Oh.
Silent, that's not right.
Wow.
But it's fair.
Okay. All right. What is your suggestion, Silent? Any other distro?
Anything else?
Popey has a suggestion.
He doesn't even need to say it.
Let's try LFS. No one will be here next week.
Right? We'll do a plain install of Arch. What do you think, Zeb?
That sounds fun.
Okay, sounds good.
I can do that.
Vanilla install of Arch.
No, definitely not a vanilla
Just don't
install of
install
Arch.
No.
No.
Isn't that the
Forget
same as
Arch.
plain
Install Gentoo now.
I think if I had to read the Arch wiki to do a full install of Arch, I would either go insane or end up killing someone. Just
I'll tell you
no
what we'll
way,
do.
Jose.
Let's go to Distro Watch, blow it up on screen, and get a dart. And
Let's stick a dart in someone's monitor.
Well,
Wait.
I've just hit random distribution and it's come up with Canotics.
No.
You want to avoid that distro like the plague.
Well,
hang on. Last updated in 2013. We'll get that. Why did they leave these old things?
The problem is they haven't updated the page. Kano hasn't updated that thing forever. That's his problem. And that was back when I believe SidX was a thing still. Then they split from Canotics and all that jazz because one wanted to be SID based, one wanted to be stable based. Back when I used to actually use that distro.
Well, that's obviously a no-go because I've just hit random distribution again and it's given us one that hasn't been updated since 2011. So we'll forget the Distro Watch random distro thing.
Isn't that the case for like 60% of distros, basically? Like,
Yeah.
we're getting to the point where there's a few active distros and a few newer ones that are coming that are regularly updated.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that's based on Arch arguably is always up to date, because if it's Arch, you're getting the hot mess that comes from the Arch developers, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, then, Rocco, give us a random number between 1 and 100.
5.
Wait, you know what I would think would be more fun? Zeb?
5. Trust.
That was a guess.
That's cool.
I think it'd be more fun to wind up. It'd be more fun to wind up the Ubuntu guy right now. Like, Puppy, what do you think about the whole vulnerability thing?
What vulnerability?
Where that guy, that researcher, said that the distros are Debian and Ubuntu are leaving people vulnerable because they're not updated on a daily basis.
I'll give you one counterpoint to that, right?
Android,
PG.
Some of the kernel problems have been problems in, shall we say, modern CPU companies that make CPUs, right?
Mm-hmm.
There have been issues in Linux, and some of those CPU vendors haven't necessarily been super fast at delivering patches to everyone. Not everyone gets them at the same speed. So it's not necessarily the distro maker's fault that they can't patch things if the manufacturers of the hardware can't provide the patches fast enough.
This is true.
I was going to say, Popey, would you say it's fair that given the source that it's coming from, that's a little bit hypocritical from them?
A tiny bit, yes.
Just
And
a
we
smidge.
mentioned that in last week's show as well. I think I made the comment, well, you just got to look at the name of the company where this information come from. And one of the things that was quite frustrating is we looked at it after the show, but we'd looked at it during the show. That which was allegedly unpatched is now patched perfectly okay. So It was
It's
good.
difficult. I think it's one of those things. It doesn't do anyone any favors to throw rocks at each other in this very small pond.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, the big hulking gorilla in the pond can throw rocks, and that's Google.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I just figured I'd wind you up a little bit.
Yeah, well done.
What the?
It worked.
You have been given props, Rocco.
Let's all use Ubuntu and look for bugs and look for faults.
Yeah, please do.
And then report them.
No, it's all good. No, even the context of what they were talking about was ridiculous. So, I mean, when you're talking about kernels and you're talking about leaving people unpatched for some of the examples were like 2 weeks behind? I mean, really?
7 days behind was the example they gave. But I'll ask you guys exactly the same question. In all of the years you've been using Linux, how many thousands of people have been affected because of these security patches?
Exactly.
Crickets.
So whether we're a week late or 7 days late or 8 days late, you're not going to get reports of thousands of people's machines being completely butchered. So
You know what Linux doesn't do, Zeb? It doesn't delete your files.
Oh, you should say that. Windows didn't delete my files. So, like I said before, I don't know what all the fuss was about. It's just, and I think Microsoft have now come out with a figure of it was like only a couple of hundred people that were affected. And I think it happens to be the most vocal 100 people on the internet.
Well, I have to say that I'd be very upset if I was one of the 100 people.
And I don't believe them for a minute. I reckon it affected thousands and thousands.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking, I think it's magnitude higher than that.
I was
It
gonna
wouldn't have
say-
been such a big story if it was just 1 or 2 or 100.
You can't have that much market share in the desktop end of things and only have it be a few hundred. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the most shocking bit was they ignored all of their insider reports that said this was happening and put it out anyway.
Yeah, well, all Windows users are beta testers. That's simple as they go to their quality control after XP, and when that's it, that's done. And we'll just ship it. If it compiles, we'll ship it, and the users all report back to us the problems. And that just saves a lot of money on stuff that way. A lot of money.
Own public beta testers are telling you you have an issue and it's a big one like this, you need to fix it. As a person who maintains my own distro, I know this.
No, yeah. I
Tell
agree.
people that I have a bug, I freak out because I'm
Absolutely.
like, how many people are dealing with this?
Even small things like selling robots just tell me like I'm freaking out about it. Thinking, what? But yeah, it has to be done. We'll fix it. You know? And that's how it should be. You can't go like, there's got to be more than 100 people reporting back to Microsoft. Even in their internal divisions, they've got to have quite a few people knowing this has happened and they didn't fix it. And that's just totally irresponsible. Because a lot of people, I mean, we're just casual users usually, but a lot, in Microsoft land, they're businesses and they're not small businesses, they're major businesses. Yeah.
Yep.
Just a question: have you backed up your files today?
Yep. Every day, Colin.
Because I mean, although I think a lot of people, and I've reinstalled a lot of Windows on a lot of laptops, and a lot of people just do not do backups. They just take the whole thing for granted, and when these things happen, then they're left in the dark. Although I believe I heard somebody say that Microsoft was offering a free program to retrieve files back or something. Is that true? Or
no? Well, yes.
Yeah, the system restore broke. It didn't. Even though you could go through the system restore, you still lost the files. It didn't actually save the files to the old Windows folder or whatever it is, or Windows.
And to be fair, I mean, I always tell people, backup, restore, backup.
Oh, even on Linux.
But you cannot blame people who haven't done it because they don't know. Microsoft can't say, oh, it's your own fault you didn't have a backup, because there's like 13 billion people out there who don't have a backup and 1 billion who do.
Yeah.
And okay, so your schedule is to do a backup every Wednesday, and this came out on Tuesday, or it did it overnight because
you've still lost a week
not to do it. and it trashed it before you did a backup. So you've only got a backup that's a week ago. Not good enough. Sorry.
No, you're right.
Not good enough.
Yeah.
I even back up on Linux. I don't even take Linux for granted. I
But
mean,
guess
we get
what?
complacent with it at times, but there is going to be a time where it is going to mess up and it's going to take some of your work, and you'll be thankful that you made backups.
Yeah,
Or your
but
hard
guess what?
drive fails or whatever.
Yeah. Microsoft don't care. They'll continue working the way they're working.
Yeah, because they put it in their EULA that you can't sue them for when they do something stupid, which is stupid.
So just
When
an
they
update-
do something stupid.
Just an update
Sorry?
on the just an update on the Mate thing. I purged the Python and it actually worked. So
Ooh.
There you
So
go.
I can close this Google search.
RTFM for the win.
Yeah.
thank you, Jacob.
Yeah.
In my defence, I did a search and it did come up with the Ask Ubuntu thing. So and I did do what somebody said, and that was change the link, the shared file link to the Python, but that didn't really work. So,
So I'd strongly
so
recommend you leave a comment there to tell them that for
How
you
to fix it.
work and which one
Yeah.
did work, because the whole
Yeah.
Ask Ubuntu thing is based on voting up the good answers, voting down the bad, and it only gets better if people vote up the good and down the bad.
yeah, that is on Ask Ubuntu anyway on one of the pages. So
upvote it.
Oh,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
upvote.
upvote
Okay.
that one.
That would be
Yeah, I will,
awesome.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Sure,
you could
I will.
even link the answer.
I'll post your answer. Yeah, you can, can't you? All right, I'll do that. Do I need to be a member to do that, or?
You do.
Yeah.
You can use
I am.
various ways to log in.
Yeah.
No, I've got Ubuntu One login, so that's. all
Use
right.
your Facebook one.
That's all I was going to say. Use Google Plus. Come on. Oh, wait.
Carl Schneider in the house.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank
Carl,
you.
did you try anything this week?
Yeah, I installed Arch this week actually, and went
Vanilla?
okay. Yeah, not too bad. And then I installed, after I got Grub finally figured out. I have 2 SSDs, and I couldn't pick up anything on my second SSD, and finally figured that out. Installed KDE Neon on one partition, and then I installed. Oh shoot, what was it? I just installed it today. Linux Lite on another partition.
Okay. And well, everybody knows KDE Neon was absolutely awesome. How did Linux Lite go?
It was fine. Linux Lite's always good. Their 4.0 release was really a good release. Super stable. It's fast. It's fine. It's good distribution.
Nice.
The only thing I get confused about Linux Lite is even in 2018, they still don't have a UEFI installer.
I know, right?
Yeah.
The NBR
Really
number.
frustrating.
All right.
Well, can't have everything, Zeb.
True.
NBR works.
But they did get rid of 32-bit, which was annoying too. I have a
Mm.
couple old 32-bit machines I ran on that. Or I had.
That's a trend.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon there, but Ubuntu is not.
That's right.
And I think ultimately you'll probably only end up with Debian that won't be, because I don't think they're set to get rid of it for quite a few years yet.
Well, the question is, how long can so we'll just pick on Ubuntu. How long can they go and still support the 32-bit ISO?
32-bit is about to go if there are not more testers, because none of the people who
It's on the fence.
work on Ubuntu have a 32-bit machine, and if there aren't people testing it, it'll go.
Well, this is it. The 32-bit hardware side of things is dying. As computers are getting more old. I mean, we've had 64-bit since 2007. That's 11 years ago. So 99% of machines are on 64-bit anyway. Apart from those with the funny UEFIs like Glimby's got, that's got the 32-bit. You know, but even that's getting repaired.
I don't think there's any plans to get rid of the 32-bit debs that are in the archive, so they'll still be able to build it, assuming that there aren't any other changes made that make the 32-bit version not work anymore.
Question about the how is the browsers on 32-bit? Like, have they deprecated those? Like, is there
No.
still a
Only Chrome.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, only
Chrome.
Chrome's deprecated in there, yeah.
And some of the other proprietary ones, like, well, Brave's not proprietary. Brave's free, but I think things like Brave and Vivaldi, they're 64-bit only. But Chromium and Firefox are definitely 32-bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Google.
Yeah, I think that's probably the cutoff when you could say, okay, these are now vintage machines. Is once the browser's dead.
That's a reasonable measure, actually, because once you don't have a browser, you've got a problem there.
I'd say you have a problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's the thing. I think 10 years, 11 years going into 64-bit is a little reasonable at this point to say the market's a little flooded with 64-bit machines. If you don't have one at this point,
well, it's a shame.
$100, you know.
It's a shame because there's a lot of people, and I won't say a lot of people, but there's still a lot of 32-bit machines out there that people are using, but just not enough to, have the demand for the testing. It's a shame because there's going to be a lot of machines that aren't usable.
You have to test and compile two different architects, aren't you? And it's just double the effort.
Well, the problem is you put it out without the proper testing, right?
Yeah, and things break. Yeah, you're right.
I actually had a desktop at one point. It came with a 32-bit UberMix installation, and I thought it was 32-bit all along because I couldn't get 64-bit OSs to boot. Turned out it was actually 64-bit CPU.
Huh.
Yeah. It was Ubuntu 14.04 that the 64-bit ISO finally booted. I was like, well, thanks a lot for forcing me to use 32-bit all along. Get wrecked.
Sounds like my problem.
So going back to the security side of things, I mean, who knows about this alleged claim that flat packs are a security nightmare?
Oh, dear Lord.
What's all that about?
I think Gideon's a good one to reference this on because he
he's shaking his head.
This recently.
FUD incoming.
I will say, I do know for a fact that flat packs do not get updated like snaps and debs do. You have to manually go and update. There is actually a command from Flatpak that you have to run to update them, where snaps they update in the background and debs, they all update at the same time, of course.
So interestingly,
I manually update my machine all the time, so I don't understand why it's different to manually update a Flatpak.
Well, it's just another command. It's just another one.
Now you have to.
Yeah.
But you don't have to use the Flatpaks, but if you choose to, then
I think
you
there
just
are.
manually update when you're manually updating your system.
I think their argument wasn't necessarily that users aren't updating their machines, but the people who are building the packages aren't updating the packages. So even if you updated your machine, if they haven't updated the Flatpak repo, you won't get an update.
Yeah.
There could be an insecure version. I think that was their argument. They actually
that was partly their argument. Yeah.
The person who wrote that website, who made that website, came to the Snappy channel about a month ago and started quizzing us about security issues with snaps. And it's like the Snapcraft and Snap developers talk to the Flatpak developers all the time. We both hang out in each other's IRC channels, and we talk.
I thought you were arch enemies. I mean, like
it's
they're similar systems.
We're not. We talk to each other all the time. In fact, the lead Flatpak developer, when this story broke this week, he dropped into the Snappy channel and goes, "Ha! I've won. Clearly, I must have, because I've got a hate site about me."
You haven't won until you hate you.
It was all meant to be fun. But the guy who created that website, or guy or girl, I don't know, came into the website, who came into our IRC channel and quizzed us, and asked interesting security questions. So when I saw this site come up, and I noticed their Reddit user matched the IRC nickname who came into the IRC channel, it was like you put all these things together, and it's like, okay, they're on a bit of a mission to highlight, what they see as perceived inadequacies in these new packaging systems, and it just so happened that Flatpak got the brunt of it. But some of the things they highlight about Flatpak could also be pointed at snaps and app images and all of them.
Yeah, the IUR and so on. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, app images especially because they don't auto update. So just they're talking about
No, yeah, they do app images because I've had a couple of updates on mine.
I have one that auto updates. None of the others I've ever tried ever auto updated.
Maybe it depends on how they.
Yes, the developer has to choose to do it, and the user has to choose to enable it. So
the one I've tried actually has it enabled by default.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's IGDM. It allows you to message people on Instagram, like Instagram direct message, but on your desktop. So nice. Auto updates by default.
That's rather cool. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, and it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I use it as often as I can because I don't use Instagram that much anymore.
So yeah, I think all that brouhaha will die down in a couple of weeks. It'll be
always does.
Next week's chip paper.
So do you think it was a slow week and he had to just make something up to write for his blog?
I don't know. I don't know.
But it wasn't just a blog post, was it? It was a full web page, if you like, a brand new URL and everything.
Yeah. A bit over the top. All right, then. So a question for everyone in here: where are you all going when Google Plus closes?
Oh no!
Never used it anyway.
Yeah, what's Google Plus? Who uses Google Plus?
I'm following. Well,
I
Google
wonder what
Plus.
Linus is going to do actually.
Google Plus is very. I know a lot of people don't like Google Plus, but it is one of the best platforms to keep in contact with developers and
No, you're right, Colin.
because you just get a feed of when they upload something, right? If you join their group, so it's a very good feed of information from. You can join as many groups as you like. So I've followed Carl. I've got and Graham Linux. I've signed up to MeWe. So that's one that I've signed up to.
It's very common also in photography societies and small groups. I have a lot of photography friends who use almost exclusively Google Plus, so it's a rather big deal for some people.
It is for some people.
I've got at least around 100, 120 friends on Google Plus who are just photographers and using Google Plus exclusively because they refuse to use Facebook. So to some people, it is really a big deal.
I think places like Diaspora and even Google are bringing back their Messenger kind of stuff in the same kind of vein again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff coming out.
Personally, if that's their only service that's closing, especially like if they don't close Google Photos, if they don't close Google Drive, if they don't close Hangouts, it's just Google Plus, it won't affect me that much. But that's me personally. I know there are a lot of people out there who use it almost daily, and I used to use it daily, but ever since then I've gotten away from it because it doesn't hook you like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram do. So
yeah, but that's only this week. What are they going to
For
close?
you.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't they talk about closing
No.
Allo as well recently?
Nobody uses Allo because Hangouts is far superior to Allo in two aspects. The first aspect is that Hangouts doesn't have Google Assistant in it. You don't need Google Assistant in Allo because everybody has Google Assistant on their Android phones already. So it's just more bloatware. And then secondly, Google Hangouts is already built into your Gmail. So it's right there on your desktop when you boot up whatever browser it is you use. And Allo doesn't have that functionality. And then finally, Allo and Hangouts can't communicate with each other. So you can't pick one and go with it if you actually do want Google Assistant in there. So, but they're trying to kill off Hangouts anyway.
Yeah, I thought I had heard they were getting rid of Hangouts before.
Yeah, they're trying to, but they can't because so many people use it.
Well, they can.
Like Yahoo, dropping their Messenger with millions on. I just scrapped it.
Yeah, they can do what they want because they have done it in the past. So just don't. Like I said, it's been a long time. They've been saying they were going to get rid of Hangouts.
Yeah.
Does anybody here remember Google Reader?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say they also said the same thing about Google Voice, which is still around. They have a lot of projects that they've talked about killing off, and because people
they've kept as well. Yeah.
Well, what happened was that Ike disappeared, and then they just can't keep Google
Right?
anymore.
I know. Actually, I think Google Plus was the last thing he was on, right?
Yeah,
Like he was
he
pretty
was
busy
there
on
as
that.
the Solus dev, basically.
Yeah, Solus put a lot of information on Google Plus as well. So, I mean, I'm sorry, Rocco, go on.
That's all right. Go ahead.
No, I was just
Well,
rambling pretty much.
I have a Google Plus account, obviously, and I've followed, like different people. Like I have, I'm a follower of Carl and a couple other distros and whatnot, but I just don't read it. Like it's not something that.
Go-to place. I think the part of the bigger problem is going to be communities that exist on, as you said, the photography communities. That one of the biggest, the Ubuntu community on Google Plus. Yeah, this community thing they have.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest ones. It's like 288,000 people are in that community on Google Plus, which is a ridiculous number of people. I don't know how many of them are bots and how many of them are real people and how many of them even log into Google Plus. You can't tell whether they're weekly active users. It's just you just get a total number. Where are those people going to go? Where do you tell people who are posting news articles, screenshots, posting questions, support questions? Like, there's 250,000 people there potentially.
Right.
Where are they going to go?
MeWe has that functionality. It's pretty good. I've been kind of impressed with it.
Yeah,
what is it,
Carl? Believe it or not, Google Plus was my first social media account, and that was about 3-4 years ago. And I started my photography small business as part-time, and I found it very useful to post some pictures and get some feedback from Nikon and Canon professionals. So, but I haven't used it much in the past couple of years, so I could care less if it goes away.
I was going to say, honestly, I think when Google rolled out G Plus and they tried to make it the one entrance point into Google, that is where they shot themselves in the foot. That's why a lot of people kind of jumped off that G Plus bandwagon, I think, personally.
When they made it required for
YouTube and everything.
Do you remember what happened when they made you needed a YouTube account, G Plus account for YouTube?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. When they made G Plus the one entry point into Google, you turned a lot of people off because you couldn't use pseudonyms, you couldn't use business names, you had to use your real name. It was just Google's already got enough creepy information. How much more are we going to give them, basically, at that point?
It's also an absolute mess. It's
and not only were you giving information away, but so were Google, which is why they're shutting it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
True. Good point.
Yeah. One thing about the YouTube comments that I was reminded of is I think when the comment system was first rolled out, I think you had the comments were unlimited characters. So naturally the internet does what the internet does, and they started posting things like the entire U.S. Constitution or the entire script of Star Wars: A New Hope as comments. It's just.
What were you going to say, Alan, about it being a mess?
No comment.
It's just like if you already have a Google account, they just messed up the migrations, and we've still got brand accounts. Like we have an Ubuntu brand account and a SnapPath brand account, and the way you manage those and who has responsibility is just such a mess, and the lack of spam control is makes it a useless platform. Really, we only use it because so many people found it. Like if we shut that Ubuntu community down, someone would have created another one, and the same 200,000 people would be in there. So we created it just to make sure it was there and we could keep it safe and make sure there wasn't like loads of porn and stuff. But that happened anyway, whether we're looking at it or not. It was just the admin tools were awful. So a few years ago I would have been unhappy that they're shutting it down. Now just don't care. I really don't care. They've just made such a mess of it. It doesn't matter to me now.
So what is the serious alternative to Google Plus?
I I'm only on Mastodon, Twitter, Diaspora. That's it. I think
I would honestly say it depends on what you're looking for. If you want some of the same features that Google Plus had, and you don't worry about security that much, your best bet's going to be Facebook. If you want the ability to contact people really easily and have large communities, then Twitter. But if you're more worried about your security, then Mastodon. Each social media platform has its own pros and cons.
What makes Mastodon more secure than the other?
Well, for starters, it's open source, so you can go on GitHub and you can evaluate it from there and help with the security from there.
Okay.
Gideon's actually the one who got me on Mastodon, so he can tell you more about it than I can. So
It's decentralized federated social media network.
Which means what, Gideon, in like regular English?
So like, I can have a server in my living room running an instance. They're called instances. And for example, I'm on fostodon.org, and someone else in Germany can be running their own instance. For I know Thomas is on, what is it, Linux Rocks dot something?
Linux
Linux
online.
Rocks Online.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm on.
Okay. But those two different servers, that's where the federation comes in. So you can see posts from people on your local server, as well as posts from people all the way in Germany.
But if you can run instances from home, isn't that also a security risk in itself?
It can be, but you can also sometimes the people who run the instances will tell you when they've updated. Like on Linux Rocks, I know they posted an update like, hey, we just updated to this version of the instance. You can check it out on GitHub here.
Okay.
Okay, so
I don't know about the
question,
other
Vincent.
instances. I haven't been on it very much.
So, quick question: Linux Rocks seems to be an important, not an important one, but one that everybody's joined. Yeah. So, what happens when the bloke who runs that instance at home or on his server gets up Monday morning, got the ump?
Yeah.
And
he's gone.
I think that bloke got him.
I think that's what he meant to. I think that's what he meant to do.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do when he turns it off? Because it's decentralized. Can somebody else run a copy of that Mastodon instance?
You might be able to.
There's a scary word, might.
You can export your data, hopefully, if they give you a chance to do that.
You can export it as well as migrate all your data to a new instance.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if that old instance is now shut down because you just switched it off.
I don't know about if it's shut down or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, if I'm not mistaken, the one that most people on is mastodon.social. And
That's what I started on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm on.
And I don't know who runs that. I think Gideon, ain't it the dude who
It's the guy who is the maintainer of Mastodon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the chances of that one going away are slim. Probably there, but slim. And of course, because there's going to be so many different instances and because it's open sourced, it's not going to permanently go away completely. You can jump around as long as you know, oh, hey, it's going to shut down at this point.
I think the biggest problem with social media sites like this is finding everybody that you want to have contact with, because it's so splintered where some people have Twitter accounts and some people don't have Facebook accounts. They have Facebook, but they don't have Twitter. They have a Mastodon, but they don't have this. And it's the same concept with messenger apps on like Android phones. You're going to go where most of your family, friends, or whatever are on. And it's the same with social media, where you're going to go with the biggest media that you can find as many people as possible that you know.
Yeah. And like me personally, on a personal basis, I typically use Facebook and Instagram. But for my operating system's I have an operating system Facebook page, because I know there's a lot of people who use Facebook, and then I have a page for on Twitter because it's where most people are, and I'm trying to reach the largest audience. It's just a simple advertising thing. But not everybody's going to be doing that because they prefer different things. So
yeah, and what confuses the hell out of me is you have a Facebook page which you then put onto Instagram, which you Twitter about back to Facebook.
The nice thing about Instagram though is you can post to Instagram and have it go to both Facebook and Twitter automatically.
Wait, what?
You Snapchat it and it disappears in 24 hours.
Yeah,
Why?
but wait, what's the best is when you have, you know, something like, I don't know, like Michael Tennell has, where he has a private account and a Tux Digital account. So then he tweets the Tux Digital account, retweets it from his private account.
One way to do it.
Account inception.
Now, I will say Snapchat sucks. Just straight up. It's slow. It's buggy. The way they make their system calls is wrong. Just, ugh.
But people love it.
I guess it depends also on... Oh, and just to go back to Zeb's question about what do you do about a Mastodon instance when it gets shut down. Well, you run your own. You don't rely on someone else. You can either pay someone to host it and you control it, or you can run it at home, and then you're in control of your destiny, right? So that's the answer to that. For the other social networks, it really depends on what your target is and who your audience is. Whether it's people you want to follow or people you want to broadcast to. Like when we do a social post for Ubuntu, we post it on Facebook, Google Plus, and Twitter, and we get way more normal people on Facebook, way more nerds on Google Plus, and a kind of mix on Twitter. But the audiences on all of them are pretty significant. Like, so it's not like Facebook is massive and the others are negligible. There's like hundreds of thousands on all of them, and so you really have to spread your message far and wide if you want to reach all those people.
Well, Popey, what's the use case for diaspora? Like, why would you? I don't have a diaspora account, so why would I join
diaspora? I only
diaspora?
have one because when they did the crowdfunding years ago, I created an account to have a look at it, and I've never really posted to it since. And the only time I log into it is when people remind me that it exists. Like when they go, oh yeah, what was that other social network? Diaspora. And I go, oh yeah, I'll go and log in and have a look. And I go and log in, and the only thing that's in there is a status update from someone I follow from 3 years ago. So it's dead. Nobody uses it. But suddenly, in the last week, oh look, loads of people have joined. And like everything's just suddenly become more active. So it looks very much like Google Plus. It's very similar.
But the way I see it, when it comes to social media, and there are people involved, and there are masses of users coming together, none of them is really secure. There will always be people trying to exploit it. There will always be people who are trying to make money or try to do some wrongful stuff because they can. And you can never be protected 100%. I mean, Mastodon, yeah, it sounds good. It's open source, and you can check the source code, blah blah blah. But if you run your own instance, who knows what you do with it? You can plan small exploits, small stuff that takes a long time for people to discover, and the damage might already be done. So when we talk about security, simply just don't use social media because they are not secure, however you spin it.
I guess it depends. Like, even if you did run your own Mastodon instance, right, and you had that in a machine in DigitalOcean, and it was, or whatever provider, and it was the only thing running on that box. If someone hacked into that, and maybe they posted some messages that look like they come from you, that might be embarrassing, in the same way that when a politician has a weak password and their Twitter account gets hacked and there's loads of posts from them, it's embarrassing.
That never happens.
More than that, right? It's embarrassing, but you have control over that box. You can flick the switch, shut it down, and go, well, it wasn't for me. I don't really care. What of value in the world has been lost. Like if Twitter shut down tomorrow, the world would keep on turning, and
Yes.
farmers would still keep on growing crops, and people would still carry on driving to work. There might be a bit of a fuss, but Google Plus shuts down, there's a bit of a fuss amongst a bunch of nerds. If Twitter shut down, there'll be a slightly bigger fuss, but nothing of value is lost, and the internet would carry on working, and mankind would carry on. It wouldn't be like the apocalypse. So,
but that could be said for any social media. Honestly,
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely
so Canonical
agree.
needs to buy Google Plus.
Well, I don't think there's a huge security risk in social media, only because you're posting it publicly anyway. So it's not like you're hiding anything and you're sending, personal messages that shouldn't be seen by anybody.
Well,
so,
you might.
Well, I guess you could.
No, but on Twitter you can DM people. Message. And there was recently a security risk in Twitter that DMs were being sent to the wrong people, and logs were visible to developers at Twitter, and so, and I may have a private conversation with someone that I might send over a DM because I think it's safe, because it's not public, it's
right.
And I've had people say to me, I'm not using Twitter for DMs anymore because there's the risk that that information could leak.
Well, that's the only time that I ever used Twitter for messaging people was actually for the Destination Linux podcast, because some people, that's the way they wanted to communicate. But other than that, I didn't ever consider using Twitter for direct messages. Like I said, I considered it, everything you would do would be public anyway. So, I mean, obviously direct messages are not, but for me, that's the way I was using Twitter, was everything's public. So I didn't see a big security thing in that because it's already public.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm likely to give my credit card details out. But
right.
if I complain about my ISP or my electricity provider on Twitter, they're likely to say to me, DM us your name and address. Well, I've given personal information over DM on Twitter. So sometimes you are going to reveal personal information over Twitter, and a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Too many people, too easy.
Yeah. We should all go and live in caves.
Yep, absolutely. We should be hobbits, all of us.
Yeah, I agree.
Carrier pigeon.
Derek's in the house. Did you get your audio working, Derek? Derek.
That's a no then.
I guess that's a no.
Maybe he distro hopped right before the show.
That's not like him.
Having those pulse audio issues.
Yeah, that's like him.
Leonard.
You got to go, Gideon?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Dig it, man. You'll have to check the Telegram channel for what we're going to do for the challenge this week.
Yeah, I will.
All right, man.
The challenge will be to create a Mastodon diaspora, MeWe, Facebook. Yeah, you got to create every account and tell everybody in the destination the Big Daddy Linux channel.
I actually might make a Mastodon instance. I've been thinking about that.
There you go.
Cool.
That'd be cool.
Well, we still didn't pick a distro for this week.
You've got a point.
Just saying. Throwing it out there. No darts, Colin. No darts.
Got darts going there.
No darts. I need some real suggestions here.
All right, let's do this. I'm going to go on Distro Watch and let's see what I get with the randomness.
Oh, no. Please.
All right. Distro Watch. And let's see.
I think the new Elementary comes out in 3 days, right?
Well, it's imminent. It's imminent.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, it's imminent.
Yeah, when it's ready. It's
All
imminent. Ready.
Yes.
There's a new version of Calculate Linux.
Hold on, let me think. No.
I've actually been wanting to try Antics. So.
Antics is good.
Make sure you download the full version.
Colin knows all about that.
All right, so the random thing on Distro Watch gave me BioLinux. and it looks like a respin of Ubuntu 1604. I don't know. It looks very 1404, 1604 esque because it's got Unity, based on the screenshots. Let's see. It's basically meant for bioinformatics.
And it hasn't been updated since 2015.
I don't know. I don't know where it looks.
That's what it is. Like, again, it's going to get banked at 9.2. You know that.
Well, if we did MX, I could be done already. I'm just saying.
We're not going to make it convenient for you.
I could be done already.
You got some hardware to troubleshoot, right? So you take that out.
We should do Fuchsia OS. There you go.
Well, I'll tell you one that we haven't done before, and I think it's one that Silent is on already. Just pick your Dev 1 flavor.
Dev 1 flavor.
Dev 1, which is basically Debian but without systemd. And there's a number of
Dev 1, yeah.
that do Dev 1. That could be quite good.
Well, I can actually install that on another machine. That's cool. No systemd. Sorry.
Dave.
Ghost BSD.
Ghost.
Actually, there was a new release of Midnight BSD. I think it was either yesterday or today. So,
Zeb, have we done Arca?
Yes.
I think we did, yeah.
I think we did, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago.
Got to be more than a couple of weeks. I haven't installed Arca.
It was a couple of months ago, but we had it done.
Yeah.
So,
How about
Dev
Arch?
1,
We could do Ubuntu chilling.
Yeah, everybody has to
We've never
install
done
Arch
that.
from scratch. The Archway.
No. We might not make it in time, Carl.
Well, I've got a document with all the steps. No one has to read the manual, but that's boring then. It's up to you guys.
Well, if you want boring, do Gentoo from scratch.
There you go.
No.
I was going to say, if you're going to go from scratch, just do LFS.
Yeah, LFS will come on stream next week. There we go, bro. I'm just waiting for it to boot for the first time.
Next month, you mean?
Okay, there's also another one. Another one we've never done, Solid X or Solid K.
Debian based?
Mm-hmm.
Debian KDE.
We could do that. I'd be up for that.
Because then you could see how their KDE version is based upon it's going to be an older one from Debian, and you can compare it with Neon.
What was that distro again?
Well,
Solid XK. SOLYD-XK.
I was actually going to... Go ahead, Climby.
I was going to mention Chakra, which is a KDE-focused Arch distro. And they...
Chakra. Yeah, I've heard of Chakra before.
Yeah, Chakra's not been updated for a while, though, has it?
Yeah, when was... I didn't think that was going anymore, Chakra.
Yeah, it is.
Last year.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you said about Solid XK and the Debian version of KDE, and you can actually install KDE on MX. And I was going to ask Dolphin if he was here tonight, and I thought he was in the chat earlier, but I was going to ask him if there was any conflicts if I installed the KDE desktop alongside
you can go and grab the KDE spin that the Antix developer has done for MX.
Yeah,
there is an actual official KDE beta spin.
Yeah, that's on SourceForge.
Yeah.
So that would save you messing around trying to install KDE on top of XFCE.
Yeah, because you never know if they're going to conflict. They used to.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because one of the things that I did install this week, but didn't really talk about it because it's really a Frankenstein, is I put Peppermint on and then installed the Cinnamon desktop on top.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to see how, because Cinnamon works really, really well with HID IP screens. And it's great, it's running, it's working fine, but it boots up with 1.2 gig of memory for a start, so it's hardly lightweight anymore. And now obviously all of the Peppermint control panel stuff doesn't work because it's not XFCE anymore. It's Cinnamon, so yeah, not a good idea. But hey, it solved the HIDPI problems.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have all of the Cinnamon settings?
Yes, you have. Yeah. But it's not really peppermint anymore, and I can't
Right.
really call it peppermint either. from cinnamon. So it was an experience, but I think I'll go back to. And the answer is, if you want cinnamon, just install either mint or Antigos. But that was a question I need to ask some of you clever guys. NVENC on Arch is broken. It won't install. So if I do a brand new install of Antigos and put Arch on there and then go into the Arch repo or the AUR and type in NVENC, whether I choose any one of the 4 options that are there, it comes up with 4 or 5 dependencies that it can't install because of XYZ. Now, I even went back to the old 390 NVIDIA drivers and did the same thing. And again, it's in this halfway house where they've got the latest NVIDIA, but NVENC won't install. Has anybody fixed that?
It's absolutely fine on Antergos Budgie. So I'm running the 410 drivers and NVENC's perfect.
But did you have NVENC installed beforehand, or was this a fresh install this week?
Fresh install.
Wow, okay. So maybe it's just something to do with cinnamon and or Antigos.
Could be, yeah.
Uh-oh, couple of votes for Void.
Something to avoid.
Yeah.
But isn't that still developerless?
I don't think they've found the developer, but that's never stopped us before.
He does have a point.
I posted it in the chat. Have you guys ever reviewed Chromium?
No.
Oh,
is that still alive?
There's 3 different versions of it. Arnold the Bat, Neverwhere, and there's another one.
No, I've done Neverwhere.
They're Chromium based on Linux, but they have the ability, some of them, the ability to run Linux applications as well. So stuff like the GIMP.
I would suggest doing Fuchsia OS, but I'm pretty sure that in order to do Fuchsia, you have to build the stack yourself. And for anybody who doesn't know, that's the OS that Google is working on that's going to replace Android and Chrome OS.
Right.
So,
well, how about we? That you said that's not. Why don't we try Chromium? Anybody got a issue with that?
I'm up for it.
As long as I can make a bootable, I'm good.
It might be interesting because it's fairly lightweight.
It is really lightweight.
You might be able to use it on some,
So what's the best version to look at?
Arnold the Bat and Neverwhere. Worth having a look at both of them.
Do you think Neverwhere's better? What was the first one?
Arnold the Bat. If you look in the chat, I've put it in there.
Oh, okay, cool.
In the chat. I always forget to look in chat.
Yeah, I didn't know it existed until earlier.
Which chat?
In this app.
In Zoom chat.
Zoom chat, yeah.
Get out to the bottom of your screen and you'll have a load of options in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be up for that.
Oh, Cloud Ready.
That's a strange name.
It is.
It's awesome.
It's quite cool. I did run it for a while.
Arnold the
Bat. Just take because we put me on chat. You never
Well, unless anybody's got a better suggestion, I think we should do this, just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah,
let's do Arnold the Bat.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I think you should be able to just pick one of them. Pick one of them you want.
Yeah.
Any one of the
Alright,
Chromiums.
So Chromium OS. Okay.
Because we could probably give some interesting feedback on either one of them. Yeah. Either 3.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
They have 6 here on B-Bomb. They have Remix, Phoenix, Cub Linux. I don't think Cub Linux exists anymore.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Nayu, Nayu OS.
I was going to say Phoenix is actually a remix of this is a remix of Android. I actually have the Remix OS tablet kicking around here somewhere. That's been discontinued.
So Matt, it looks like you're going to be installing Chromium on that Surface Pro. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, that could be a problem.
What?
Yeah, there is only certain hardware that Chromium supports.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. I'm looking at the list right now.
Yeah, it's quite restrictive.
Yeah, like it's a pretty extensive list, but I've passed quite a few different vendors already. I've gone from all the way up in Acer, past Apple, Asus, Dell, HP, and I'm down on Lenovo at this point already. Oh, there's the end. Zotac. And
this Neverware, I don't like the way it says try it for free. That implies that you've got to buy it.
No, it's absolutely free for personal use. You don't need to download the trial version. There's a home version.
but you do have to build the installer, and it sounds really weird.
Well, Neverware.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
I can't remember actually building the installer.
Let's go back to Arnold. Look, guys, I can't even do an Arch install. I'm not going to be building anything.
I don't have to build anything. I can't remember building anything. I think I just used the USB utility, and that was it. It just went, done its job.
Well, I'm grabbing Arnold the Bat, and it's a Z file. Oh, there we go.
That's right. It was a bin file rather than an ISO. But if you use the DD command, it does work.
You're welcome, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Man.
Like it.
Thank you.
Oh, it's going to be a rough week. Just saying.
I may not be here next week.
You better be here next week.
I'm supposed to get work done with these, right?
Yeah, you're not doing a Dusk Geek on us and telling us all to do Antivirus and then not turn up.
Right.
So do we get a fallback distro just in case we can't get it to work on our hardware?
The fallback distro is whatever you want.
Solid X or Solid K?
I think we should save Solid X and Solid K for next week.
Okay.
And then...
How about we make Chakra?
Good idea.
The Chakra could be the backup distro.
Yeah.
All right. Chakra it is.
In case we can't get it installed or something, yeah.
Chakra?
I don't think I've ever tried Chakra, to be honest with you.
Arch-based. It's quite cool.
I was going to say, don't tell the Arch guys that it's an Arch distro because they won't agree with that.
It is a year old, so it might break if you update.
Wait, the headline is Chakra, stable core, bleeding edge applications.
Bleeding edge.
Yeah, we love bleeding edge. Gotta have bleeding edge.
Yeah, I might skip Chromium and go to this one. Just saying. Somebody's got to try Chromium, though. Come on, you guys.
Yeah, Climby will go for it.
I'll try it.
Okay. You know, Climby will do it. He's up for anything.
It doesn't look like it's on my laptop, or and it doesn't look like it can run in a VM, so I probably can't.
So, is this Chromium only available for laptops?
Most likely, considering most Chromebooks are laptops, and I've never heard of a Chromebook desktop.
Well, no, I've never heard of a Chromebook desktop, but can you install it?
There are Chromebook desktops.
Oh, okay.
They call them
Chromebooks.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting if I could get it installed on a desktop.
You'd be a good hack.
I was going to say, Rocky, you might want to work out the other hardware issues you got on your
I already downloaded the 64-bit version of the Arnold the Bats.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to build a USB stick off of that and boot it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is interesting because the first thing it fails on is I obviously haven't got any 7-zip files installed.
P7-zip.
It won't extract it.
Yeah, P7-zip.
All right, we picked a distro for next week. Anything else before we close her out? Anybody want to bring up? This is your chance.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the stream.
Well, just I'll let you know that speaking on keeping in contact, I've followed Farron. He's moved to Discord, so I don't know. There's maybe a few members of Discord here, but I think I get the feeling that now that groups of Linux have been fragmented with this Google Plus issue, isn't it? Because it's very hard to sort of get hold of groups now once this goes.
Well,
So-
speaking of that, Zeb, do you know if he's going to switch over to KDE?
I don't think so. Not at the moment. He's still having too many issues with trying to get it all up and running. But I mean, who knows with Ferren? I mean, I thought his Ferren OS based on Cinnamon was an excellent desktop. But then he read something somewhere that made him panic that something wasn't going to be working, which is why he started going towards KDE.
Yeah,
But I
they're
can't-
looking at. Yeah, it's because of the he does a lot of the Windows GTK things, and that may change to like a GNOME interface more than. So he may not be able to have the separate
Themes and stuff.
Yeah, Cinnamon has the separate themes that may be going away. So, and that was the reason why. I was installing his KDE last night, and I was chatting with him for quite a fair bit, sending him a lot of screenshots because I just couldn't get it installed. There's a major error at the moment on his KDE one.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's working on that. It's still not working. I tried again this morning. So, yeah, but that was the reason why. But his KDE one could look pretty awesome too. I reckon if he puts all these Ferren OS tools in there, I reckon that could be pretty good.
It depends on how well he can integrate it
Yeah.
and make it his
Yeah.
own rather than just another KDE. Because if you boot into Ferren, I mean, there's no mistaking that it's Ferren OS. You know, you're not going to mistake it
Yes.
for anything else. And I think that will be the key, is if he can do that with a KDE environment, it'll say whether or not it's going to work.
Well, he's got Nemo in there, Rocco, and you can actually open files as root. Already you can do that.
Yeah, well,
That's one of the only reasons that I use Nemo at this point. It crashes all the time with me, but I still use it because of that.
Yeah.
I think his primary issue is the theming in KDE. KDE
Yeah.
keeps it non-trivial.
Now, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, you can open Dolphin as root.
Yes.
Is it that they're
Yeah.
just using an old version of Dolphin?
They have Super Magic.
I think they're using a dbus.
No,
a dbus
Dolphin
hook
has an
in the menu, the same as Gecko does.
You can just install an extension in Dolphin to open as root.
Yeah, but that doesn't work anymore.
No.
I use it all the time.
Which what are you running, Carl?
Let's see. Well, on my Arch one, it's fine. What I run before on KA.
What Plasma version are you running?
Well, now it's 5.14, but it was 5.13 or .5.
Every time that I would run even the extensions, like the hooks and stuff, it would say that it can't do it. Can't open it up.
Can I just
you got a
ask a
special
really
link, Carl?
stupid question?
Out somewhere.
Why do you want to do this?
Do what?
Open a file manager as root.
To be easier to move files, to be easier to edit files.
Having root access
In and out of Etsy.
That's nice.
Yeah.
System.
When you want to break your system.
Yeah.
You want to break your system, just compress your kernel into a tar ball.
No, I'll give you an example. Like I have drives, and they're like external drives, and I have files on them. If I want to take ownership of them, I can either do it through the command line, or I can do it easy through Dolphin. Or if I want to move files, like I say, I have config files that I want to move into a newly installed operating system. I can do that easily with Dolphin rather than do it through the command line. I know you can do it through the command line, but it's easier to do it through the file manager. It's also easier to break your system through the file manager.
That's fair. That's fair.
I always keep around Pacman and LeafPad when I'm in KDE and use that to open as root. And lightweight applications doesn't have a lot of dependencies, if at all, and they work perfect. So that's how I do it.
All right. Hey, we're getting to the end. So, before I end it, let me again mention next week, starting next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, new time for Biddle. So if you come at 10:30, you're going to miss like 3/4 of it. Right, and I'm sure there will be people that will be happy about it, and I'm sure there'll be people that are upset about it because it's not going to work for them. But all I can say is it's the way it is.
Rocco, when does your daylight savings kick in?
2 weeks, 3 weeks, I forget, Colin. I don't know exactly.
The week after the UK one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be in November then.
Yeah,
It's brilliant. It's brilliantly orchestrated to cause as maximum mayhem to
Yes.
the entire world.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, last word, Zeb.
Don't forget to catch the latest episode of Destination Linux. That will be out on Wednesday of this week. I wasn't on it this week because I was suffering really badly from allergies. For some obscure reason, my body has decided that it's going to suffer from hay fever in October. Where the hell has that come from? I have no idea. I didn't even know that flowers pollinated, or maybe it's the trees that are getting rid of all of these. But it's never happened before. But I was really, really rough. So check it out. It's going to be awesome.
Global warming, things change.
Right. All right, Popey.
Everyone should go and buy one of these. It's a Debian Linux-based game console.
You're kidding.
Running Debian Linux. And look, that's playing Outrun. Which is a really cool.
You got a link?
Yeah, Clockwork Pi, it's called.
Okay. I was going to say, Zeb, you just beat Ryan.
Nice.
Very nice. Michael, last word.
Well, middle for the win.
Awesome. There you go.
Good man.
Thomas? You're muted, Thomas. Actually, I muted you earlier because of the typing, but I'm sorry about that.
Sorry. It's okay. So, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I'm still having my wallpaper competition for Draugr OS. You have a wallpaper you like, submit it. Yeah. I'll have
Where they submitted it?
I'll have it in the YouTube chat here in a second.
Okay.
I probably should have said that there's an Ubuntu release on Thursday. I should have mentioned that, but
Yeah.
you all knew that.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Matt, last word.
Contribution is more than just code in open source. That's all I'm going to say.
There you go.
True.
Wendy, last word.
It's always fun to join. I don't get to join as often as I'd like to, but you guys make me laugh every Saturday night.
Nice. Well, hopefully the time will work out for you and you can still join.
It should.
All right. Colin?
RTFM for the win. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Das Geek will join you on that one.
So is Colin going to make it into the release notes?
Probably not. That's reserved for one and only Das Geek. Dan, last word.
All right, so make sure to file your bug reports too.
There you go. That goes along with the RTFM.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Silent.
Thank you for having me on, as always. It's always great to be here. Stay open and learn something new every day.
It's a pleasure, Silent. Well said. Climby?
Yeah, thank you for having me on, as usual. It's fun every week, and hopefully Chromium OS will go well. Looking forward to it.
And Popey's just laughing. He's like, I got these guys.
I was going to say, you know what's going to happen? Popey's not going to show up next week.
I will.
X is supposed to hurt.
If Popey doesn't show up, Matt, we are going to do a ping fest on Telegram for Popey in the middle.
Oh, you mean like we've done for Ryan?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. There'll be 4 billion pings on Telegram.
And Popey, we're all in the same group, so.
Just remember to turn your phone off next week, Popey.
Ali?
2 a.m. It's going to go boing.
Ali, last word.
Yeah, it's been a lovely night as usual, Rocco. Thank you, Yang. Yeah, I'll be doing the Chromium as well with Climbit. Why not? It could be a giggle. And Trinity.mypeacelinux.com for a decent distro, just saying.
There you go. That's what the last word is for.
That's what it's for. Self-advertisement.
That's right.
Have a great night.
Christopher.
Thanks for having me. This has been a nice experience, and I hope to repeat it again. I think I'm going to skip the Chromium OS experiment.
Why would you want to skip it? I mean,
if I find that power brick, I'll try the I'll do the antics instead of void.
All right.
Nice.
Well, you'll have to let us know how that works out for you.
Yeah. And I'll be also changing the distro here. That might produce some interesting problems that I could report.
It's always a good way of looking at it. I'm going to change distros and report the problems.
Yeah.
All right, Carl, last word.
Thomas, I will be entering your wallpaper contest, definitely.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. And thank you, Rocco, for this evening. I was glad I could make it through most of it. So that was good.
Yeah.
Thank all of you guys. You're all great.
All right. Tuck stop.
Hey, thanks, guys, for having me. It was a fun evening. I wish I could make it every Saturday. I'll try to stop by again next Saturday. But I'm not going to try Chromium OS.
It's all good. It's not a requirement, luckily.
I know. Yeah.
Dave.
Thank you, Rocco. 25th wedding anniversary be darned. I had to be here, at least for the end of it.
Wow.
And in the words of,
oh, man.
Congrats.
In the words of Tux Digital, like that smash button, people.
Well, happy anniversary, Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And my last word is thank you all for showing up. I appreciate talking to every one of you on Saturday night. It's awesome.
It is awesome.
Thank you.
It is great.
Thank you for having us.
All right. For those of you who haven't joined the Telegram group at t.me/Big Daddy Links Live and help us ping Popey next week. All right. We will see you at the new time, 9 p.m. Eastern next week.
Okay.
Until then, have a great week.
Have a great week, guys.
Good night.